Tesla. And such a controversial company, it's very hard to analyze. So I'm trying my best to analyze what is going on with their with their sensor systems for autonomous driving. So please correct me if I have made any mistake or if there's anything inaccurate. So let's get started. I came across this article on Medium that did a very good job on explaining the difference between using Lidar, which is what each and every car maker is doing right now, except Tesla, and what that means for Tesla if it chooses to not use the Lidar system. It is quite an insightful article, and I'm just gonna summarize it here for you guys. The first point is that so right now every self-driving technology and companies that's developing it are using the Lidar, including Uber, Waymo, and Toyota, and all the other car manufacturers, but not Tesla. And Musk had famously said that whoever that relies on Lidar is doomed. It's expensive and it's unnecessary. So we're gonna take a closer look on why he said that, right? Because it seems like a very harsh and it's like a death sentence for Lidar from Elon Musk's standpoint. So one of the biggest issues is the cost. It costs around $10,000, like was said here, to install a Lidar system on a car. So that's gonna be very expensive for a car that's already expensive. And not many customers are willing to afford that. So this is from a commercial standpoint, and it does make sense. But what if the Lidar will become so developed and and mass produced that its cost being reduced to $1,000 instead of $10,000? Will Tesla still consider using Lidar? Then here it comes, the application to railroads. Because if you I highly encourage you to Google Lidar and what it does. I'm not gonna go into detail here, but the limitation of a Lidar system is that it cannot distinguish between what object is what object. It can only tell you there's an object there, but it doesn't know what it is. So it will cause a lot of confusion for the car because you cannot tell what object it is. It is very important. So take this for an example. This is a very good analogy. If there's a plastic bag that's flying in the air, which in the middle of the highway, right, and the lidar system detects it, it would basically tell the car to stop right in the middle of the road because it cannot distinguish between and identify, what that plastic bag is. It might think that it's a kid or it's a human, it's a dog, whatever it is, right? So it's gonna tell the car to stop, and that's gonna cause a huge problem. And imagine you just suddenly stop in the middle of the highway. It's gonna cause probably huge collisions. So it is actually very dangerous to use a lidar system in this case. So the approach that Tesla is taking without using lidar is to use a combination of camera and radar system. So the camera is trained by machine learning, right? Uses algorithms for computer vision. So actually trains the model to identify the objects. So if it sees a cat, uh, then the camera knows that it's a cat. If it sees a person, you know, then the camera realizes that it's a person. And if it sees a plastic bag, it knows that it's a plastic bag. So the camera, uh, you know, has the ability to identify the objects, and that's what makes it great. And that's what Tesla is gonna use, which is mostly cameras. Um, and it does make a lot of sense. It's being stated in this article. Highly encourage you to take a look. And yeah, here, Lidar can differentiate between a load bomb from a plastic bag. Yeah, and here it talks about adaptation. So all those cars that use lidar, they function well on like the big real roads, but it doesn't function well in the small roads that's not uh, well documented on the map. And yeah, when it comes to unexpected situations, unexpected turns and lanes, uh, that's a change in size, eh, which is very common in the real world. Those cars that use lidar do not function very well because yeah, it cannot identify those objects. Um, and they purely rely on the map. So the map it has to be like very detailed and accurate. But Tesla's cars only to rely on maps. Um, like we said here. And the conclusion here is that, um, but you know, other than spending $7,500 on lidar, you could get a few more cameras that only cost $5 and get nearly the same accuracy. So when the guys at Tesla said the lidar hardware will become obsolete, uh, it's not an exaggeration. And yeah, here's some final thoughts. Yeah, I would say this is a very meaningful uh, article and gives you a lot of insight on why LiDAR is unnecessary and could potentially even cause problems. I highly encourage you to take a look. But so in summary, I think it's good to know about this technology so you know what uh, each company is doing, and it will enable you to make better investment decisions. But always do it on due diligence and have conviction um, on what you believe in, and because like nobody can predict the future,